So I want us to start really small and concentrated so that we can learn how to use the Axe DevTools browser extension to see how to perform an accessibility audit. Alrighty, and if you'd like to follow along, make sure to fork the project first and then have a separate window open with the preview only view, because having a separate window dedicated to the preview only version of the forked project ensures that the extension only runs against the project code and not the whole code sandbox environment. We're going to be performing an accessibility audit on a site that is intentionally riddled with accessibility issues. This site is called Doggy Directory. It's just a fun little project I created for a blog post I wrote. And all this site does is give you a list of dog breed options to choose from. And when you select that and click the search button, it just displays a list of dog images. So we're going to kick things off by having the extension scan our website to find any potential issues. And by the way, if you don't know how to open up a new browser window, that just includes the project. Go ahead in the right-hand side corner, click open a new window, and then that'll open up the project right there. Okay, so we're going to open up our DevTools. And then we're going to navigate to the Axe DevTools browser tab. And then we're going to click the scan all of my page button. This will take a second or two, but it will start analyzing the web page and then present you with a list of issues that it found. And so for this initial scan, it found 2 critical issues. And if you notice on this side here, or in this little box here, that Axe DevTools categorizes the issues based on 4 different criteria, which are critical, serious, moderate, and minor. And so I want us to take some time within this issues pane to kind of get familiar with it so that we can properly understand how we can parse through the issues that were identified. So first, let's see, we open up. First thing we'll see here is that there's this kind of like top bar, I guess you could say. And within it, it includes options for highlighting. So if we wanted to highlight where the issue was, it would kind of do that right there. And then also you could share the issue with somebody if you wanted to, and then paginate through the issues of the same type. So if there were multiple issues that met the same criteria, this would allow you to kind of click through them. Next is a description, which just gives you detailed information about the identified problem. So for this case, it just says ensure select element has an accessible name. Then you get the location, the precise location of based on where the element issue was identified. So for this case, it tells us, okay, the select element, the ID breeds, is where the issue is at. And then last is just the problem resolution, which just includes bullet points outlining steps to address the problem effectively. So here, it just gives you a list of potential options that you can follow to try and resolve the issue. Okay, so now that we kind of have a bit of a lay of the land, let's kind of take our first crack at trying to fix the first issue. So before we make changes to the code, I want us to actually open up the screen reader to see how it reacts when the issue is present. And as a heads up, I'm in the Chrome browser working with VoiceOver, which is the default screen reader for the Mac. You know, VoiceOver may have some variances in it, or may have some variances on what it announces, depending on the browser you're testing with. So if you're in Safari or Firefox, it may not read out the exact same thing, but you'll still be able to follow along. And if you're in a different operating system with an alternative screen reader, you should also be able to follow along. Just keep in mind that the keyboard shortcuts I use probably won't apply. Okay, and so although we've audited our landing page, I'd like us to choose a dog breed to display an actual list of images, because this will help us better understand the specific issue we're addressing, which we are going to take a look at this first issue here, which images must have alternative text. So if I go ahead here, and let me scroll down to cattle dog, because I think they have some of the cutest dog images, and I click search, and we'll get our list of images. And so I want to activate the screen reader, and the shortcut for that is Command F5. And then I want to click anywhere in the window to get VoiceOver to focus in on the preview window. And so with VoiceOver open, I'm now going to use the shortcut from, if you remember from the screen reader lesson, and that is Control Option Command G, and that will allow us to kind of navigate by image.
You are currently on an
and so if you notice, it reads out the
Control Option
Command G again. It reads out the image. It doesn't have any alt text associated with it. So the screen reader actually defaults to reading the file naming extension. And so we obviously want to fix that, because that's not very helpful to assistive technology. It's very chat wordy too. So now that we kind of have an idea of what our problem looks like, let's kind of go back to the project and Code Sandbox and look at the code and update all the image tags to include proper alt text. So we're going to start off by, let me scroll down here actually a little bit so we get to the image tag. So we're going to start off by modifying the hero image on the landing page. And because this image serves a purely decorative purpose and doesn't provide any additional information to the site. And so to convey this to screen readers, we can use the alt equals empty string attribute, indicating that the image is present, but intentionally lacks alternative text. And this will instruct the screen reader not to announce or provide any descriptive information about the image, because if it's not really helpful, then we don't really want to read it out to them. So to do that, I already have the code here. I'm going to comment it out. You would just add alt and then equals an empty string. And then next, we're going to update the dog images. Which let me scroll down here. Here it is. So the logic for that is a bit more verbose because it adds some more dynamism to the alt text, but it'll make sense once we open up VoiceOver again. So I'm going to comment out the code that should be included in your lesson manuscript, so you can find that there. I just have it commented out here to make it a little bit simpler for me. Click save. And then I'm going to go, don't worry about this. Code Sandbox gets a little confused sometimes. So I'm going to go back kind of to the preview only mood view. And then I'm going to refresh the page to take us back to the landing page. And then perform a second audit with the DevTools. And we should notice that, by clicking the rerun scan button here, we should notice that when we run a second audit, that now our issue count has decreased by 1. So we could stop here, but I think it's really important to reopen the screen reader and see how it performs when it's given the proper information. So I'm going to refresh the browser tab to take us back to the landing page, because I want to start the audit from there. And I'm going to turn VoiceOver back on and then navigate by image. But what I'm going to do now, because it gets a little confused sometimes when the DevTools is open, is I'm going to actually collapse it and run the audit and show you what it looks like in VoiceOver. So I'm going to turn VoiceOver on, Command F5, and then I'm going to navigate by image using the shortcut Control Option Command G.
Image not found.
If you notice, it says image not found.
Group inside of a group.
VoiceOver responds by saying image not found because since we applied the empty alt attribute on the image, VoiceOver no longer announces it, which is what we want because it's not relevant to the assistive technology and we don't want it to read it out. So next, I'm going to select the dog breed again, in this case, cattle dog, but feel free to take whatever you want. And when we navigate, we're going to see what VoiceOver reads out here. So cattle dog,
cattle dog. Menu pop-up,
and then click the search button.
You are currently
and then now I'm going to
to
navigate by image again, pressing Control Option Command G.
Cattle dog 1 of 18. Image.
And now it says cattle dog 1 of 18 image.
Cattle dog 2 of 18 image.
And that count keeps incrementing as I shift through it.
You are current VoiceOver off.
And that's because of that line of code that we added. It basically looks through and says cattle dog number of out of the total list image. This way it gives screen readers in assistive technology a little more descriptive content of what the image is that's being displayed. Okay, so we've got one issue down, and now we have one more to go. So let's go back to DevTools, and I'm going to open it back up here. And then I'm going to read the description of the second issue, which I guess in this case, let me just rerun the scan really quick since I had closed it. Okay, so the next issue is going to be select element must have an accessible name. And if we expand the accordion header to reveal the panel, we'll see that the main problem is that the select element is actually lacking a label. And so with this information in mind, we can go back to the code and add an appropriate label. Okay, so we're going back to the code. And so underneath the main tag here, or within it actually, we want to add the following code. I have it commented out here. Save it. And so as a refresher, labels provide context for an input. And so in this case, we are implementing the explicit association technique since the for attribute on the label, which in this case 4 equals breeds, correlates to the same value as the ID on the select input. So 4 equals breeds on the label, and then the ID equals breeds on the select input. And so we saved our changes, and now let's go back to, let me actually refresh this because sometimes this can get thrown off. It doesn't automatically refresh. So let's save our changes. We've gone back to DevTools, and let's click on the rerun scan button. And now we have 0 issues, which is awesome. And as you can see, this is because now our input has a proper label associated with it. And so now all is good. And so to build out accessible components and user interfaces for the web, it's imperative to audit and test as we implement features. Axe DevTools is a great resource to use as you implement features, as it helps you catch accessibility defects while you code. It can't catch every and all issues that exist in accessibility, but it sure gives you a good start. And this tool makes auditing for accessibility easier as it provides detailed issue descriptions, links to helpful resources, and a highlight feature that points you to the exact spot in the UI where the issue is surfacing.
If you want to keep learning about how to build real-world apps with the latest technologies and other career-related topics, then start right now by subscribing to our channel and liking this video.